Offset refused to leave because he got there first, and he already knows he don't want to be around Quavo because Quavo signing with Jay Prince Jr. and them, the same people who had the whole situation with Takeoff happen. And when you look at how Wack 100 is now coming after Jay Prince, saying that it wasn't him the one that said it, it was the fact that the people who Wack 100 was around was him talking to them, and then they ended up telling on him and spilling all his secrets that he was holding back because he knew a lot of stuff about Jay Prince. He knew a lot of stuff about Jay Prince Jr., the whole mob ties, what the involvement is with Migos, the whole agreement and involvement with QC, and the whole fallout between Offset, Quavo, Takeoff, the Sweetie situation, the Cardi B situation, because Wack 100 know every single one of them. He's been around for a long time. But the thing is that they twisted his words, and he should have never even spoke on that, because whatever he said sounded to his people on the clubhouse like he was actually, saying that he knew about Jay Prince and what had happened to him 2 days ago. And see, the thing is now that Quavo and Offset been laying low, and due to the fact that they already had things in the work, like Quavo was already planning to sign with Jay Prince. How do you think he was able to do that music video and say and say the Migos was over? They put in Quavo's agreement, he had to shake his hand to it and sign to say that in his next song, he has to diss the Migos and say that the Migos is over and is never going to be again. And that's why Quavo went out on a song, and he even chose to put those lyrics in. Like, for the first time, he actually had a lot of, options on what he could do with his lyrics, because most of the time it's so much heavily edited, because QC usually has to proofread it, go through all the stuff before they agree this is what they want him to do. And so now, with the whole situation with Quavo being on the side of Jay Prince and Jay Prince Jr. and them, they making him put the end to the Migos because they don't want to have Offset come around no more. Because a lot of the problems is with them with Offset. Because Offset and the Prince family, they the ones who were, bigger, like going back and forth more, say, like they weren't arguing with Quavo as much. They were arguing with Offset. And so maybe it was something where Quavo must have basically put them on to info that made them not like Offset or whatever it was, because they picking and choosing. So you know how it is. People these days, like, they could say something about you to somebody else and make it so that they don't want to work with you, or they don't like you or mess with you no more. And so that could be the thing with Quavo, where he could have already had it and put it into their ear that, he had the issues with Offset and that they were seeing the same girl when it ended up being Lil Baby anyways. But whatever that was and that came from, that kind of made it a sour taste in their mouth, to where now they're not messing with each other no more. And then you see how the threats with, Offset, the threats were coming from Jay Prince Jr. and them. And, Wack 100 thinking that it was going to get Jay Prince locked up and all this stuff. And Jay Prince came back and clapped back at Wack 100 and told him that Wack 100 should have never said nothing, and he's the one who twisted it up, and he's over here trying to bully and this and the third, right? And that he's instigating too much, and that he needs to leave them alone. Because see, the real issue between Wack 100 and Jay Prince is that both of them are power hungry. Both of them want to be the top dog leader. They've been used to, having everybody follow them and everybody take their word. And when they tell somebody, give somebody a command, most of the time they do it. And so years and years and years of that, decades of that, gets into their head. And now they got majorly overinflated egos, to where they think that anything they want to do, they could do it, and that no one can do anything to stop them. And so that's how, like, power hungry that they are, and that's how full to the power they think that they have. And so what's going on is that now when somebody comes and challenges them and says, nah, Jay Prince or Wack 100, nah, what y'all doing is this, and that. And so when somebody comes to challenge them, that's when they get mad and they start going on these podcasts. They start going on all these interviews. They start booking radio shows. They start meeting with Breakfast Club. They start meeting with Gilly the Kid, Wallow, and all of them guys, right? So once they get challenged by somebody, because Jay Prince and Wack 100, like, they from, one's from the South, one's from the West Coast. And so when the West Coast and the South challenging each other like that, and both of them are tied into some big street street behavior and a lot of street groups that they affiliate with and they claim and they throw up the sets and everything, right? And so when these dudes get challenged and whatever, they instantly want to be the bigger dog, right? So both of them are just barking at each other. They go back and forth, basically wasting a lot of time. And in the meantime, Jay Prince Jr., the sons and all of them, they running around still doing the same thing. Like there's a Takeoff chain out there missing right now that people are still looking for. Like what happened to Takeoff's phone, everything that he had on with him. Nobody's paying attention to that because the sons and whoever was at the party, Jay Prince Jr.'s party and his brother's party, whoever was there, they took off and ran off with all of Takeoff's stuff, man. Like you got to understand that they try to run his pockets. They try to run everybody's pockets from the Migos when everything happened, and nobody was there to help Takeoff because Quavo walked away. Like Quavo walked away, then he came back. And when you see Jay Prince come back and walk by him, there's nobody with Takeoff except the lady, the nurse lady. And so that's how you know that it could have been somebody who easily could have, pocket checked him, snooped through everything that he had. They could have grabbed his phone. He had multiple phones. Everybody knows that Takeoff was a businessman. And so he had a business phone and he had a personal phone. And so he had at least two phones and at least had $600,000 worth of jewelry on him. Not only that, but the cash on its own and everything like that. So you got to think that this is like technically $1 million worth of things that he had on him. And so, and including like the songs in the phone and everything like that. So people had a moment to access that million and run through Takeoff's pockets and dip, man. And condolences to Takeoff, man. So anybody who had anything to do with his passing and his downfall, they need to get justice for Takeoff, basically. I know a lot of y'all are Takeoff fans, so you taking this very deep right now. And so that's why a lot of people, we still advocating justice for Takeoff, everything like that. We want to make sure that he's remembered in good light because Takeoff was part of the community like every good leader was. And so he was making sure that, he was representing himself to where if people were looking up to him, he was more the right guy to look up to. You can't quite say that you should have looked up to Quavo. You can't really say that you should have looked up to Offset, but you can say to look up to Takeoff because really Takeoff was the person who told Quavo and Offset that they should start rapping because he was looking at what they was doing in the streets back in North Atlanta in the bandos. And he was telling them, he's like, look, guys, if we do this rapping or we do this entertainment or whatever, this music stuff, all we need is one hit, man. We just need one song to catch and we could be making millions forever doing, not having to put our money up for nothing. We could just make it out of thin air like that. And so that's what he was trying to explain to them to change their ways. And so it took a while for them to catch on to what Takeoff was saying. But good thing they listened because Takeoff set them up to succeed. He's the one who told them that they should start the group Migos and name it Migos and everything. And so when he combined everyone, because you remember Takeoff and Quavo and Offset, they all related. So Takeoff called his family members and he said, yeah, we need to get together with Offset and we need Quavo to come over right now and so we could start this thing. And that's when they started going to the studio. And so if it wasn't for Takeoff, none of this would be here. Like we would have never got to see the Migos be big superstars or anything like that. So he really has a lot of credit towards that. So shout out to Takeoff, and all the Takeoff fans, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and everything. And basically what y'all got to understand is that people need to be remembering Takeoff and, showing that he was the one that was really the better one in the group. He had the flow. He had everything to where he was trying to get into a lot of business opportunities and show the youth, show the kids in the community out there that they could do it just like he did and that they don't even have to do it through music. They could jump right into all these business ventures and ways to invest. He was really trying to put people on. Like he even had the crypto song. So you see how Takeoff basically having that crypto song, he was way ahead of his game. He was way ahead of the level. Like he had that before, when it was like on during the same time that it started becoming people actually catching on to that. Takeoff already been knew that. He been wrote that song and been recorded in the studio, and they just put that out once it became a trending thing. So what you got to understand is Takeoff already knew what he had to do to set everything up. So when, Quavo told him, when he find out that Quavo was eventually going to end up going and signing with Jay Prince Jr. and them, Takeoff couldn't do that. He said, no, man, we can't do that. well, I don't want to do anything like that, because he already knew that it was something fishy going on where Offset left and that split up happened. So he knew Quavo was trying to get around him some way and try to sign a new deal with J. Prince Jr. and them and Mob Ties and Rap a Lot. But Takeoff didn't want to do none of that because he already knew how far they came and what he was looking like with his investments, and he knew exactly what they needed to do to get to the next level. And the next thing you know, his day had came. And so with all that being said, man, y'all need to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you stay tuned for the next breaking news update video, and I'm gonna catch you there. Peace.